My family turned my daughter's graduation dinner into my nephew's celebration, so I quietly stopped funding their lives. Hi, I'm Ethan Cole, 41 years old, and the night my family chose my nephew over my daughter was the night I stopped being their son and became something far more dangerous, irrelevant to their survival. I didn't yell. I didn't make a scene. I didn't flip tables or demand explanations. I paid the bill, stood up quietly, took my daughter's hand, and walked out. By sunrise, every dollar they depended on was gone. For most of my life, I was the reliable one. The fixer. The guy who answered calls no one else wanted to take. I'm a commercial litigation attorney, the kind who reads fine print for sport and documents everything out of reflex. I believed leverage belonged in courtrooms, not families. I was wrong. My daughter, Lena, is 23. 3 weeks earlier, she graduated top of her class from Stanford with a degree in climate engineering. She worked 2 jobs through school because she hated feeling like she owed anyone, especially me. Her mother, Mara, died when Lena was 11. Ovarian cancer. 13 brutal months. I watched my wife disappear in inches while my daughter learned how to fold grief into herself so she wouldn't burden anyone. My parents never visited Mara in the hospital. My brother sent flowers. My sister sent a text that said, "Thinking of you." I paid for the funeral. I paid for the reception. I paid for the silence afterward. Lena never complained. She learned early that disappointment was quieter if you swallowed it whole. So when she asked for a small graduation dinner, just family, nothing flashy, I said yes immediately. I wanted one night where she felt seen. I booked a private room at Crestline House, an upscale restaurant overlooking the water. Linen tablecloths. Live piano. Custom banner. I approved every detail myself. Total cost, $3,850. Worth every cent. 2 weeks before the dinner, my brother Caleb, 38, called and asked if his son Noah could be included. Noah had just finished his second year at a local college. I said yes. Of course I did. 3 days later, my sister Jenna asked to bring her kids. I said yes again. The night before the dinner, my mother called and told me how proud she was of me. Said I was always the thoughtful one. Said Lena was lucky to have me as a father. I believed her. That was my mistake. We arrived at the restaurant at 6:30 p.m. Lena wore a soft green dress and smiled in a way that made my chest ache. She squeezed my hand before we walked in. The hostess opened the doors. And the banner over the head table didn't say my daughter's name. It said, "Congratulations, Noah Brooks." My hand went cold. Lena stopped walking. Her smile collapsed like it had been unplugged. That was the moment everything changed. Stop here. The room was already full. Glasses clinked. People laughed like this was the happiest thing in the world, like the banner didn't just slap my daughter across the face. Lena stood frozen near the doorway, arms lightly folded over her stomach like she was trying to keep something from spilling out. I stared at the banner again, just to make sure my brain wasn't buffering. Nope. Huge gold lettering. Expensive fabric. Professionally printed. Not an accident. And then I saw my mother. She was near the head table, adjusting a centerpiece like she was the event coordinator. She turned and spotted us and gave me this bright, proud smile, like she just nailed a surprise party. I walked toward her slowly, because when you're raised to keep the peace, your body still tries to do it even when your mind is screaming. "Mom," I said, keeping my voice even. "What is this?" She glanced at the banner like she was admiring a painting. "Oh, Ethan. We made a small tweak." A tweak. Like she swapped the salad dressing. "This dinner is for Lena." My mother waved her hand in a way that told me she'd already decided my opinion didn't matter. "Well, Noah needed this more." I blinked. "Needed what more?" "The attention," she said, as if that was an actual resource you had to ration. "You know Caleb's been struggling. Noah's been feeling behind. And Lena," she tilted her head toward my daughter like she was evaluating a houseplant. Lena is fine. She has you. She doesn't need a fuss. That sentence hit me so hard I felt my jaw tighten. Lena didn't need a fuss. My daughter graduated with honors from one of the hardest programs in the country. She worked nights, weekends, holidays. She turned down spring break trips. She lived off vending machine dinners and stubbornness. And my mother was acting like the celebration was optional because Lena had me. I turned my head slowly. My brother Caleb was at the bar, laughing, already mid-toast to someone. He saw me and strolled over like nothing was wrong. "Man," he said, clapping me on the shoulder. "Thanks for being cool about this." Cool about this. Like I just agreed to let him take the better seat at a movie theater. I stared at him. "You changed the banner." He shrugged. "Mom handled it. It's no big deal." Noah's excited. "And Lena," he nodded toward my daughter, barely looking at her. "She's mature. She'll get it." I looked around the room. My father was sitting by the window scrolling his phone, completely checked out. My sister Jenna was corralling her kids near the dessert table, half listening to the pianist like she was waiting for her moment to complain about parking. And Noah. Noah stood under the banner, smiling. Not awkward smiling. Not confused smiling. Full, proud, soaking it in smiling. People were already approaching him with congratulations like he just walked off a stage. And nobody was looking at Lena. Not one person moved toward her. Not one person said her name. It was like she'd become background furniture. I walked back to Lena. I didn't touch her right away. I didn't want to startle her, like she was some fragile glass thing. "Hey," I said softly. She stared at the floor. Her voice came out quiet and flat. "It's fine, Dad." That voice. I hated that voice. It was the same voice she used when her birthday passed and my parents forgot to call. The same voice when she got her scholarship and my brother changed the subject to his latest business idea. The same voice when she stopped expecting love from people who only offered it as a reward. I lowered myself slightly so she'd have to look at me, even if just for a second. "This is not fine." She swallowed. Her eyes were shiny, but she didn't cry. Lena doesn't cry in front of people who don't deserve it. "Please," she whispered. "Don't make it worse." That's what broke me. Not the banner. Not my mother's smug certainty. Not my brother's entitlement. My daughter asking me not to defend her because she already knew how this family reacted when we took up space. I stood up. I took her hand. And without a word to anyone, I turned around and walked her right out of that room. The hostess asked, "Sir, is everything all right?" I didn't answer. Outside, the ocean air was cold and sharp. Lena's hand stayed in mine like she was 11 again, standing beside me after her mother's funeral, while everyone else went back to their lives. We got into the car. She stared out the window and said, barely audible, "You paid for all of this, didn't you?" "Yes." She nodded like she expected it. And then she said something that made my throat close. "I'm sorry." I gripped the steering wheel hard. "No," I said. "You don't apologize for existing." She didn't respond. The drive home was silent. And while she disappeared into her room, I went into my office. Because some people drink when they're hurt. I build cases. At 2:12 a.m., I opened the spreadsheet I'd been keeping for years. Every payment. Every emergency. Every. Just this once. And I saw the truth in black and white. Over 7 years. $318,400. That's how much I'd poured into my family. Not loans. Gifts, bailouts, rescues. And in return? They couldn't even let my daughter have her name on her own celebration. At 2:30 a.m., I logged into my banking app. At 2:31 a.m., I started cutting them off. One by one. Quietly. Methodically. Like I was removing tumors. Because the thing about being the dependable one is, everyone panics the moment you stop being available. And I was about to watch them panic. At exactly 3:04 a.m., the last automatic payment disappeared from my screen. No dramatic flourish. No warning emails. Just a small confirmation message that said, "This transfer has been cancelled." 12 of them. I leaned back in my chair and felt absolutely nothing. Not rage. Not relief. Just a clean, clinical stillness. The same feeling I get when a judge grants a motion I knew I was going to win. I slept for maybe 2 hours. When I woke up, the house was quiet. Lena's door was closed. I didn't wake her. This wasn't something she needed to witness. I made coffee and opened my laptop again. Step 1 had been stopping the bleeding. Step 2 was making sure no one could argue I'd done anything wrong. I drafted an email to Harborview Senior Living, where my parents lived. I explained that effective in 30 days, I would no longer be covering their monthly residence fee of $2,750. I attached proof that I was not a guarantor, only a voluntary payer. Polite. Professional. Unemotional. I hit send. Next, I called my brother Caleb's bank. I waited on hold for 17 minutes listening to a piano version of something from the 90s while staring at the family photo on my desk, the last one we ever took together. Mara was already sick in it. You could tell by the way she leaned slightly into me like gravity had started to feel unreliable. When the loan officer came on, I told him I was withdrawing as co-signer on Caleb's business loan. Amount, $62,000. He explained it would trigger a review. I said that was fine. He said Caleb would need to refinance or provide another guarantor within 60 days. I thanked him for his time. Then I logged into the tuition portal I'd set up for Noah. Caleb hadn't been able to qualify for the payment plan, so everything was in my name. I canceled the upcoming semester payment, removed my card, closed the account. Reason selected, no longer responsible. Next was my sister. I didn't email Jenna. I called her. She answered groggy and annoyed. "Ethan, do you know what time it is?" "Yes," I said. "And I need you awake for this." There was a pause. "I won't be paying for anything for your kids anymore," I told her. "School trips, camps, emergency rent, all of it. I'm done." She laughed, a short, disbelieving sound. "Is this about the dinner?" "Oh my God, it was just a banner." "It was not just a banner. You're punishing everyone because Noah got a little recognition?" she snapped. "Lena's strong. She can handle it." That sentence again. Strong meant expendable in this family. She shouldn't have to handle it. I said. "That's the point." Jenna sighed, irritated. "You're being dramatic." "I'm being finished." I ended the call and blocked her number. I blocked Caleb. I blocked my parents. I didn't want apologies. I didn't want explanations. I didn't want manipulation wrapped in guilt and nostalgia. By the time Lena came out of her room around 8 a.m., everything was already in motion. She poured coffee and sat across from me at the table, eyes tired but calm. "Did you sleep?" I asked. "A little." She watched me for a moment. "You're doing something." "Yes." She didn't ask what. She already knew. "Dad," she said carefully, "you don't have to blow up your life because of me." I reached across the table and took her hand. "I'm not blowing up my life," I said. "I'm removing people who taught you that you don't deserve basic respect." Her throat bobbed. She looked away. "They're going to freak out." "I know." "They're going to say awful things about you." "I know." She squeezed my hand once. "Okay." That was all she needed to say. At 10:17 a.m., my phone started vibrating. I didn't answer. Texts stacked up in the family group chat like falling dominoes. "Mom, Harborview just called. They said your payment didn't go through." "Caleb, dude, the bank called me." "What's happening?" "Jenna, Ethan, answer your phone." "Dad, son, this is serious. Call your mother." I watched it escalate in real time. Confusion turned into panic. Panic turned into anger. At 11:02 a.m., my mother sent, "I raised you better than this." That one almost made me laugh. I typed my first and only response. "You erased my daughter last night. I'm just adjusting my priorities to match yours." Then I attached a screenshot of the spreadsheet. 7 years. Every payment. Every transfer. Total, $318,400. Under it, I typed one line. "Lena needed this more." I muted the chat. An hour later, Lena knocked on my office door. "They're melting down," she said softly. "I know." She leaned against the doorframe. "Are you okay?" I nodded. And for the first time, it wasn't a lie. "They built their lives assuming I'd always be there to catch them," I said. "They never asked if I wanted to keep catching them." She was quiet for a moment. "Mom would have backed you," she said. That landed deep. "Yes," I said. "She would have." That afternoon, I requested a refund from Crestline House. Turns out my mother had personally authorized the banner change. They refunded every cent. I forwarded the confirmation to Lena. She replied with a screenshot of a flight booking. San Francisco, Lisbon. Departure in 10 days. A solo graduation trip. I smiled for the first time since the dinner. Because while my family was unraveling, my daughter was finally choosing herself. And the real collapse? It hadn't even started yet. By Monday morning, the consequences arrived with receipts. At 8:12 a.m., Harborview sent a follow-up email confirming my parents had been given formal notice. 30 days to arrange payment or relocate. At 9:30 a.m., Caleb's business page went dark. By noon, Jenna was posting vague quotes on social media about family betrayal and people who confuse money with love. I saw all of it without reacting. Watching consequences unfold is easier when you stop taking responsibility for them. At 12:47 p.m., my mother left her first voicemail. She was crying. Real crying. The kind that's messy and unplanned. "Ethan, please call me. Your father doesn't understand what's happening. We can't afford this place. We never could. You know that." I deleted it. She left another one an hour later. "This isn't fair. We made a mistake, yes, but you're punishing everyone." Deleted. At 3 p.m., Caleb sent me a message from a new number. "I'm begging you. The bank's calling the loan. I'll lose everything." I stared at it for a long time. Then I blocked the number. Because begging only works when someone still believes you're entitled to rescue. By Tuesday, Jenna's kids were pulled from summer camp. The payment had bounced. She tried charging it to her credit card. Declined. Then another. Also declined. She'd been living on my overflow for years. Without it, the math didn't work. She tagged me in a post that night. I didn't see it until a friend forwarded it. Funny how people disappear when you need them most. I didn't respond. At 7:18 p.m., a message came through from Noah. "Uncle Ethan, I don't understand what I did wrong. Please don't punish me for something I didn't do." That one hurt. Because Noah wasn't the architect of this mess. He was a passenger. But he also stood under that banner. He smiled. He accepted applause that wasn't meant for him. I didn't reply. Silence isn't punishment. It's refusal. Wednesday morning, the family group chat went dead quiet. No more accusations. No more pleading. Just the realization that the safety net wasn't coming back. My mother sent one final message. "You are no longer my son." I read it once. Then I typed, "You stopped being my family when you taught my daughter she mattered less." I left the chat. Deleted it. Every contact. That afternoon, Lena came home from lunch with friends and dropped onto the couch beside me. "They're saying you ruined the family," she said. I nodded. "That's easier than admitting they depended on me." She was quiet for a moment. "Do you feel bad?" I considered it carefully. "No." She nodded like she'd expected that answer. Friday morning, Caleb's business officially closed. He posted about the economy, about bad timing, about how dreams don't always work out. He didn't mention me. Jenna launched a GoFundMe. She raised $420 in 3 days. It wasn't enough. It would never be enough. Sunday night, Lena and I ordered takeout and watched an old movie Mara used to love. Lena rested her head on my shoulder like she hadn't done in years. "I'm glad you chose me," she said quietly. I kissed the top of her head. "I always did," I said. "I just stopped choosing them." A week later, I drove Lena to the airport. She hugged me hard before security. "Thank you for everything. Send pictures." "I will." I watched her disappear into the crowd and felt something settle inside me, not loss, but pride. When I got home, my phone buzzed from an unknown number. "You destroyed this family." I typed back once. "No." I stopped holding it together. Then I blocked the number and turned my phone off. That night, for the first time in years, I slept without waking up once. Because peace is surprisingly easy to rest in when you stop paying for other people's chaos. The silence that followed wasn't empty. It was calm. No calls. No emergencies. No background tension buzzing under normal days. I hadn't realized how much of my life revolved around fixing other people until there was nothing left to fix. A few weeks later, I met with my friend Mark Rivera to finalize my will and trust. Everything went to Lena. No exceptions. No shared authority. "She's the only one," I said. Mark didn't question it. That night, I opened my desk drawer and took out Mara's wedding ring. I'd been waiting years for the right moment. I realized the right moment wasn't ceremonial. It was certainty. I put the ring back and locked the drawer. An email from my mother arrived the next morning. She wrote about downsizing, about struggling, about family still meaning something. I read it once. Then I deleted it. Lena sent me a photo from Lisbon that afternoon. Wind in her hair. Laughing. Free. That was the point. Life didn't fall apart. It stabilized. Lena took a consulting role she loved. She came home energized, confident, no longer shrinking herself to fit other people's expectations. Over dinner one night, she said, "I used to think being strong meant staying quiet." I looked at her. Not anymore. A month later, Mark called to tell me my parents had tried to challenge the trust. It went nowhere. "They assumed you'd cave," he said. "They always did," I replied. Jenna took a job she'd avoided for years. Caleb moved in with a friend. Everyone adjusted, without me. One evening on the balcony, Lena asked, "Do you miss them?" "I miss the idea of them," I said. "Not who they actually were." She nodded. That answer made sense to her. The final test came quietly. An email from my aunt asked if I'd consider just a conversation with my parents. Old me would have said yes without thinking. New me asked Lena what she wanted. "I don't want them back in my life," she said calmly. "But I don't want you hurting for me either." "I'm not hurting," I said. "I'm protecting us," I replied to my aunt with a polite refusal. That night, Lena laughed while cooking dinner, completely unguarded. No tension. No bracing. Later she said, "I don't think I ever believed adults would choose me until you did." That was the moment everything felt settled. A year passed. Lena moved into her own place. Got promoted. Spoke on panels she once thought she didn't belong in. I watched from the audience, quietly proud. "You taught me how to leave rooms that don't deserve me," she told me afterward. My parents stayed distant. Occasionally I heard updates. Nothing that required me. One evening, I gave Lena her mother's wedding ring. "Not as a promise," I said. "Just as proof you were always worth protecting." She cried. Honestly, people could say I destroyed my family. The truth is simpler. I didn't walk away because of a dinner. I walked away because my daughter learned to apologize for being invisible. Boundaries didn't end my family. They revealed it. And choosing my child finally gave us both peace.